here presenting our surgical training technologies and the platform that overlays that. So it's a platform that allows surgical trainees to simulate the environment of surgery in a safe space away from the patient bedside. And we use a contrarian approach, which is what we call hybrid AR. So this technique allows surgeons to use the real devices they would use in theatre, and they operate on synthetic soft tissues, and then we immerse them in a digital environment which communicates with those synthetic soft tissues so that they feel like they've got the same environment from another high-fidelity platform, but the real feel of using the devices. Yeah, it's a real pleasure to introduce the LapAR laparoscopic simulation platform. So this is a high-fidelity simulator with a difference. So the way we deliver our simulation is we allow surgeons to operate on synthetic soft tissues, and then we build a digital environment around that. So hopefully you can see behind me, this is an example of our vaginal vault closure task. Sitting in the center of the screen is a synthetic tissue phantom. And that feels incredibly realistic when we're, and you're going to see momentarily when we're driving needles through that. So we get what we call natural haptics. So this is the real differentiator of this platform compared to virtual reality systems. However, what we don't want to miss out on is what you do get from virtual reality, which is the immersion. So we build a digital environment around our soft tissue phantoms, but that's not the only part of the technology. What we're also doing is using computer vision algorithms to track instruments in the field of view and provide us some really rich data on how well a surgeon is performing. So when we think about the technology, it's broken down into three parts. There's the hardware that you see here. You can see it's very, very portable. So actually, we're able to send these into the homes of surgeons, and they're able to train remotely, which is excellent. And then we have two software elements. So there's our native application, which you can see here, which has the augmented reality, it's got computer vision. And then the final piece is a web-based learning management system, which allows people to see their data, allows them to see videos, allows them to gain feedback from expert surgeons, all with a time-stamping feature. Now, I'm going to invite Luis in here from ErgoSuture, and this is a really great opportunity for us to show a really important part of this platform, which is our simulator is device agnostic. So this is super important for us when it comes to training surgeons, and we think about this from if we think from an athletic pursuit perspective. Each surgeon will use a different device depending on what center they're in. And instead of using simulated devices during the week and then they get to game day and they're using the actual device they would use and it feels completely different, our view is, well, we should be making platform and device agnostic systems that allow the surgeon to use the exact device that they're going to use in theatre. So throughout that time of training, by the time they get to theatre, they're really, really used to how does it feel, how does it operate. And really great to have Luis here, because Luis is going to show that this system here is not something that comes with our simulator. We just provide basic instruments. But the amazing thing here is we're able to put the drive and roll device into this simulator. And Luis, if you're happy to be my surgeon here, Luis is going to place the drive and roll into the LapAR here. And you can see that he's going to bring the device in, and then he's going to bring another instrument in, and he's going to start suturing. So while this device is inside the field of view, our computer vision algorithms are tracking the instrument shaft. So that's giving us some really rich three-dimensional data on how long has the procedure been going on for, but how far has the instrument traveled, the acceleration, how long has it been on screen, all of these really important metrics. And as I say, it doesn't matter what device you place in here, we're able to track it. So Luis has got a standard instrument in his right hand, and he's got the drive and roll here, which he's actually going to demonstrate. This is some really cool technology. By the way, if you haven't seen this, you need to go and look at the ErgoSuture platform and the drive and roll device. So Luis, if you go ahead and start driving the suture, that's great.
Okay, perfect.
So the really interesting piece of the technology here, as I say, is those instruments on screen are not avatars. They're not digital. They are the things that are currently in Luis's hands. So he's placed a real instrument into a void, which is what we do in patients. We place instruments into a void, and he's using those instruments to operate on synthetic tissue. So it's an incredibly realistic haptic experience, what we call natural haptics. So he gets the feeling of the tissue as he's tensioning it. He gets the feeling as he's driving the needle through the tissue. And with the particular device here, the drive and roll, what you're actually seeing is Luis is not having to use too much instrument movement or wrist movement, because the automated device is doing that for him. So when we come away from the native application and the simulator here, all of that data that he's creating will go into his portfolio. He can watch his video back. He can send that for certification. And that's really the power of this particular platform. So much, Luis. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, excellent skills.
System.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. So we spoke about there are three elements to our platform. So there's the hardware element, which is providing this natural haptics. And then at the native application level, that's where our digital overlays are. It's where we're capturing the video data. It's where we're capturing the computer vision data, where we're tracking the instruments. And all of that data that we're capturing at the local level or the native level, we're sending into our cloud-based or web application, which is really our learning management system. So that's where we're aggregating the data. It's where surgeons can go and look at how well they're performing. It's where they can share their data with their senior surgeons. They can share their video footage, and they can gain lots of feedback. And so I wanted to spend some time just very quickly showing you the sort of statistics and data that we're pulling off this platform. So the third element of the platform is the web application. So this is where we aggregate all of the data that we're capturing on a combination of the hardware and the local software, so the native software. Now there's lots to show here, so I'm going to focus in on some of the really exciting stuff. And it's really important, I think, to highlight this is an incredibly unique platform. And what's unique about it is not only that we're providing these natural haptics, so we're providing a considerably more realistic and device agnostic training experience, but we're providing something that's considerably more scalable. So if I'm a surgical trainee, I'm a resident or a registrar in other parts of the world, I can access this anywhere I have an internet connection. So I can come on, I can look at how well I've been training, I can review what I've been doing. So very quickly, there are 6 main metrics that we collect and show. We do actually collect lots of other metrics, but these are the ones we show to people. So you can see here that this is our procedure statistics page. And we've just been doing vaginal vault closure, so we'll have a little look at that. And what we've actually done is filtered for vault closures in the last couple of days while we've been here at LSI in Dana Point. So we're going to look at the statistics that we show you. First of all is completion time. This is really important when it comes to understanding how well someone is operating. So are they being efficient with the procedure? We don't want them to be rushing the procedure, but we also want to show whether or not there's a trend in, well, is this person learning the procedure and becoming more efficient? So you can see here that this is actually a trend of Luis doing his suturing. This is a really interesting trend that we have to point out because not only is he showing the right trend, which is he's reduced his time to operate, but this is actually a really interesting insight into the time that the platform from ErgoSuture reduces when it comes to operative time. So the drive and roll, you can see here, this was actually a procedure that we did with a straight stick device, and then this was a procedure we did with the drive and roll straight afterwards, exactly the same standardized procedure. And this is a really cool part of this platform because it allows device companies to not only go in and validate and provide an evidence base for their devices, but it also allows them to then take that all the way through into the commercialization phase when they're training clinicians so that they're safe to use those devices, and so that they can also show those clinicians, look, this is the impact that we can have with our new device. So completion time and trends, those are really quite important. The next 3 metrics we show you are smoothness, distance traveled, and acceleration. These are all about how ergonomic and how well am I using the instrument. So am I moving further than I need to, which is distance travel. That's am I being really, really economic? The more we move the instruments, the higher the likely is we're going to cause damage to particular viscera. So we want to minimize that. So we want to see a column that is as low as possible. Same for smoothness, same for acceleration. And then, of course, we can also see handedness here and then time in view. And time in view is an important safety metric. So if we're not seeing the end of the instruments, it could be banging into anything, and that could be causing damage. So we need to be showing that as well. So those are the metrics we show. And very quickly, the other thing we do is we have this video capture feature. So we're able to capture video, and they're able to watch that video back. So I'll open up a vault closure task. And we can see here, this is a vault closure task being done with straight stick needle holder. And someone's just in there at the moment, just assessing what's going on. And you can see that we can fast forward the video. That will take a little time to buffer. And now the trainee is going to be performing their vault closure. So this is a really important part of surgical training, which is I'm the resident, I've just performed my procedure, but I need to look back at my game tape and say, what do I know that I didn't know there? So those are the known unknowns, but there's also the unknown unknowns. So I could be looking at this and going, I actually don't know what I don't know, and I need a more senior person to look at that. So that's where you provide feedback from a senior person. You send an invite request off to them. So I'm going to send that off to my senior surgeon there, and I'm going to hit invite, and away we go. That's gone off to a senior surgeon to review, and they're going to give me some feedback on that. So that's a really quick overview of the platform. There's lots and lots of other features in there, but we're very proud of this. And just to say, in the UK now, this is becoming the de facto platform. We're making our first moves into the US with our commercial team this year. Yeah, so the LapAR, the development of that platform took us about 18 months to 2 years, and it was a collaborative work between ourselves at Inovus Medical and some really important funding from the NHS. So the way this came about was that NHS England, who are basically responsible for patient care in the UK, they realised that we needed to significantly drive a paradigm shift in the way we train our junior surgeons. And they looked at this and said, we need to have high fidelity training that's more affordable, more realistic and more accessible. And so they placed out some funding opportunities for companies to propose a technology that could shift that paradigm. We were very lucky to receive that funding. So we received £1.1 million worth of funding from what we call SBRI Healthcare and NHS England. It then took us about 18 months to 2 years to develop and then test and validate. And then, as I say, we then launched that in midway through 2020. And since then, it's become pretty much the de facto platform for surgical training in the UK. Now, you've seen that this is a laparoscopic simulator. The technology stack that we have isn't just going to be applied to laparoscopic simulation. There's lots of different surgical training modalities that we need to take this platform to. So we've already applied it to our hysteroscopy portfolio. So that's for the gynecologists who are operating transvaginally into the womb. So we have a HistAR system which does these same things. So it has an incredibly immersive augmented reality environment. It uses computer vision for tracking. It has a learning management system in the same way that this works. And this is really the start of this digital training platform and this digital training ecosystem that we're building. Future developments for us are to come down into other surgical specialties, so down into urology, down into orthopedics, and so on and so forth into the rest of the surgical training space. So in terms of commercialization stage, we're in the UK at the moment. We're pretty much the market leader in the UK. So if you're a gynecology trainee, you're using our platform to learn how to do laparoscopic surgery and hysteroscopy, because we have a number of different products in the portfolio. If you're a general surgeon in the UK, you use a lot of that as well. And we're just in the process now of building a direct commercial team here in the US. We're already, as I say, revenue generating and profitable as a business. So we're planning to be at the LSI event in London later this year, and I think that there's a great community of venture capital and innovators in the UK, so I think it proves to be really, really exciting, and hopefully I get invited to some panels and do some speaking. It'll be great fun.